Do you know what your partner's up to when you're away and they're all alone?
No, what?
They're listening to the Screw podcast, of course.
What's that?
Sit back, relax, and listen.
You're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. Sneaking in the back door with dirty magazines. So your mother wants to know what all the stains on your jeans. And you're an orgasm addict.
Oh shit, I was gonna have my blunt ready to spark. Hi everybody, welcome to the Screw. I'm a second behind in life per usual.
It does happen, my dear. It happens. I'm probably about like an hour and 10 minutes behind my life today, but you know, it's okay. Like I was telling you, like I was outside of where I record. I'm gonna make this vague so nobody gets in trouble. And there was a young college man smoking a blunt. And I'm either creepy dad or cool older gentleman who came over and said, "Hey, I would totally love you forever if you gave me a track to that blunt right now."
I love that so much.
He's so excitedly obliged, and I'm like, I forgot the Southwest can be like really sweet, like, you know, a lot of the time where like if people have, they like share, and you know, that's my vibe, like I think most of the time. You know, so it was good because I'm like, you know, I love recording this podcast, but it's a lot more fun a little stoned.
Of course.
I mean, because
Agreed.
think what we talk about, I think the times when like I don't get a little stoned, I talk about politics for 45 minutes. So, which, look, I think is important. For instance, the Pope just said, like, same-sex marriage has his blessing, reversing his, like, previously held position as a bishop. That's
Good.
Yeah, that's a, like, do not go backwards kind of energy, you know?
I like that. That's nice. That's a nice, like, you know, change of pace in the world.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, you look around, and apparently this Pope has, like, a MAGA brother or something, whatever, you know, but it's, like, it's good to see, like, the willingness of some of the spiritual community to, like, kind of try to think forward a little bit. I mean, I know it's a numbers game, you know. I mean, actually, I hate it because I hate to see people indoctrinated into religion. So scratch that, reverse that. Hey, look, I gotta be real. I gotta be real. The only thing, like, again, spirituality, cool. You know, and I think that is the vibe out here in the Southwest. Like, there's a lot of, like, crystal loving and, like, you know, I'm going to take this healing stone and, like, you know, just great energy with the outdoors. And that stuff's awesome. You know, you feel that kind of tranquil connection to, like, the great big outdoors here. And that's nice. And I think that's a great kind of spirituality to have, you know. Like, I don't mind astrology. I think that shit is entertaining. And, you know, of all the, like things being thrown around there, positions of stars and dates and like the mathematics of the universe makes a lot more sense to me than some of this Jesus freak stuff. So, you know, that's where I stand on. I don't know why I got Southern all of a sudden. I think this happens when one goes on tangents. You feel like you're orating on a box, like somewhere in like the South along your political train route. Anyway.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
That was a good blunt.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
your blunt was good too.
Oh yeah. Oh nice. Yeah, that's right. I heard the spark. Like, we're not on camera today because like I'm dealing with kind of outdated, and where the internet of the world is faltering in some places. Let's just say that way. So I can't see what my co-host is doing today, which is usually, you know, pretty entertaining. So. Yeah. So, you know, what have you, how are you doing? What's going on?
You know, back from Mexico.
Yeah, you get a tan.
Uh, not kinda.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. I wasn't really that fun as much as like
would have
I
wanted to
think
be.
was expected. Well, no, no, not really. It was too fucking hot. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah, that's true.
like there's just like all like the chairs to lay out are like under shade because it's just not like laying out in the sun is not a good idea. You need to be like in the pool if you want to be in direct sunlight, you know?
I got you.
So
I got
I
you.
got a little tan, but it wasn't anything crazy. Definitely like, you know, could use a little more sun. I say that, but like I'm looking at my skin and I'm like, I got pretty tan, but
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna come out here in 5 years, and I'm gonna be like as dark as midnight. Like
oh god,
there,
yeah, okay.
I mean, no, I'm serious. Even like, and look, I put the screen on. I like wear hats when necessary, but like eventually, this triple digit big sky no shade kind of place, you just are bronze at least all summer. Like it's kind of unavoidable. And like I keep thinking it's got to be safer cuz like if I get a little darker, I can like go out for like a 20-minute walk without freaking out.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I
For
don't
somebody
get
that grew up dipped in SPF every 5 minutes. Right?
dipped in SPF, baby. Yeah, so well, that's good. I'm glad you got back safely. You don't have any like difficulty traveling or anything. No chaos in the adventure, at least by plane and whatnot.
No, my mom was one of the people that was picked to be like extra searched, which is funny. But
Oh,
other
that's
than
funny.
that, no.
It's just.
I mean, I had the flu on the way home, and like
Uh,
it was not. I mean, it was like post flu, but I was still like dealing with like the pains and the aches and shit. So it was just like shitty. And
the
I mean,
yuckies.
like yeah, like I was upgraded to first class, but I couldn't even like enjoy it because I wasn't hungry and I didn't want to drink anything. And like, they're like serving meals and alcohol, and I'm like, I'm all set. It's just
Oh
like
no, bummer. That
also,
sucks.
yeah, I also realized during this trip that like I just don't like drinking really that much anymore. Like I don't mind like a cocktail or like a frozen drink by the pool, but like one or two is like my limit. Like I
Yeah.
just don't like it. It's not. I had unlimited access to alcohol. I had a mini bar in my room
Oh,
that
shit.
they refilled daily refills. It came with wine, bourbon, and vodka, and I never opened a single bottle.
Really?
I think I one beer out of the fridge just like the first day, just like cracked it open when I got to my room, And then after that, the only thing they had to refill was the Mexican Diet Cokes, Mexican soda, Coca-Cola, and then like all the snacks.
Oh my god.
Every day I was like, I just need the snacks and the water refill. They're like, okay, fat ass.
Oh my god,
was
that's
like,
so
fuck
funny.
that food.
Mexican.
I ate everything in sight, but I did not drink. Like everybody else was just like, especially like the first few days, like they were just fucking wasted, and I was like, no, I don't have like that desire. It just doesn't feel good in my body, and like I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like shit
see,
when I drink.
I
But
can't I can't do like day after day anymore. Like if
Yeah.
if I'm gonna drink, it's like I'm gonna like pick a night in the week.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and like I'll have more than a couple, but like that's it. I'm not like doing it all weekend. I'm like trying to, and I'm not trying to get like hungover. Like we all know that's less and less fun as time goes by.
Like honestly, if I don't go to bed sober, like after a night or a day of drinking, if I don't go to bed sober, like I'm upset because I go to like I feel like shit.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm gonna stomach hurt. Like I just don't like going to bed with anything but like weed in my system. It just doesn't do like it sucks. And it was so funny because so like after my sister got married, we all got like the photographers were taking like photos on the beach of like immediate family and stuff, and then there was a little cocktail hour. So I only got to like be a part of maybe like 15 minutes of the cocktail hour because I was mostly doing photos. So when I get there, they hand me like the drink of the the wedding or whatever. You know, my sister picked like a certain drink to like whatever. So I had that, and it was, I don't know what the fuck it was, and it was delicious though. And because I just like, I didn't want to pee 1,000 times and all that, so like I abstained from drinking a ton of water. Like I was with my sister getting her ready before the wedding, and then I like first I had to get myself ready, then I had to get my sister ready, then I stayed with my sister up until she walked down the aisle. Like I walked down and like sat down, and then like the person, you know, then the wedding party came in, and so I was like literally just in work mode the whole entire day. Like woke up, ate breakfast, and so at the cocktail hour, I actually like finally like was like and like let my hair down because like fine, like everything went off without a hitch. I got her the flowers in the right time. I did this. I didn't have a lot to do, but it was enough to like make me anxious, you know. So because of that, I like slammed 2 of the drinks down like really quick. I drank them like they were water essentially because I was just thirsty at that point, and like I just wanted a cold drink, so I just grabbed the drinks to drink. And it was funny because we were like, you know, heading in for dinner, and I have some like alcohol in me, and I'm like, excuse me, sirs. I was like, hi, my name is Felicia. I'm the sister of the bride. I'm gonna need a favor. Can you guys possibly get up on some chairs and clean off this neon light I got for her that says the name of like the, you know?
Oh my god, that's too funny.
So I asked them very sweet and kindly, but nobody, like, it's not in like anybody's range, so nobody heard what I said. So it just looks like I'm like snapping and clicking and like, hello boys, clean this thing for me. So I get back to the table, and everybody's like, oh my god, you're such a boss bitch. You're like, get up on the chair. I was like, I did not say any of that. I was very kind and very like appreciative, and I told them after. So like, nice try, but everybody was like, you looked like you were being so sassy, and I was like, listen. So then I had another drink, and I got wasted in that moment before dinner.
Wow. Okay.
Everybody was like, not wasted, but you know, I was tipsy, and nobody at this point, nobody aside from my mom and Roger has ever seen me tipsy. So they're like,
funny.
oh, this is Felicia with alcohol in her. And I'm like, yeah, bitches. And then I go and eat everything in sight, and then I'm sober again. And it was, you know, back to work mode where I like recorded the whole night for my sister and all that. But
oh my god,
so,
that's
like,
so sweet of you.
It's so funny that I was like, like finally her friends finally like, because I went to her bachelorette party with all of them, and they didn't see me drink there because I was the designated driver. You know, like I would have like one drink on the beach at 4 p.m. You know, like I never drank around them. So they finally saw what like a little bit of a tipsy Felicia was, and they were like, she's so fun. And I'm like, yeah, but like she doesn't come out often because 3 drinks is too much. And I'm all set, you know. And it was just like funny that like I went from, you know, I drank regularly for a long time.
Sure.
Like very regular. At one point I was drinking like daily, like my nightly like beer, you know, and now I'm just like, I can't, I'm all set. I can't.
Yeah, it's actually always amazing to me how quickly like you can like I don't know what is the opposite of building up a tolerance. You can detolerance from alcohol, you know, because like yeah, I've had drier years than others. It's not like. It's never been like my top favorite thing to do, but when I drink, I like to drink, and I like to feel a buzz. Come on, you start laughing, having music on, conversations, being stupid, so it feels good. But like I used to be able to have like 4 whiskeys, and if I have 4 whiskeys now, like I'm like loud and probably tired.
Exactly. That's the thing is like I have, you know, like I'll get to like like it depends on how strong the drinks are, but if it's like, you know, decently strong, 2 is my limit. But like I get there and I'm like goofy for like an hour, and then that Felicia goes to bed. She has to go eat a hot dog and go to sleep, you know, like like they were at the resort one night. My sister requested that I do karaoke because they have karaoke one night, and I was like, me get on stage in front of 100 or however many fucking people, because there was so many people. I was like, and make a dumbass out of myself. Of course, so,
no problem.
But of course, I was like, when I walk in, she's like, all right, they're going on. Like we're starting in like a half an hour with the karaoke. I was like, okay, great. So I like chugged 2 drinks, put in my name. I'm first up. so I can do my performance for my sister. And then I went back to my room and I went to bed. I was like,
That's
I'm all set. I'm going to
amazing.
take a tub. But like I just like I'll party, but we're gonna cut it off at 10 p.m.
It was like a mic drop. You came, you saw, you conquered. That's beautiful.
So it was a good time. I had fun. It was like mostly drama. I mean, there wasn't really any drama at all. Like a few people
That's
acted
nice.
silly at like nothing crazy, and like it was good. My bio dad didn't go, which was great.
Oh, really?
Not great for like my sister's mentals, but it's
But,
great for
yeah.
like the group because he's the worst. He would probably interrupt the wedding and be like, I have to pee. Like he's that kind of person. So but
yeah.
has to be catered to. He has his full faculties, like just
Yeah.
annoying. So like yeah, it was good. I feel like it was a good group of people. It wasn't too crazy. It was like it was all, there was no kids. It was because it was an adults only resort, so it was just good.
Interesting.
Good vibes,
So like, how many people like came?
I think all together it was something like, I want to say like 58 or something.
Oh
in that
wow!
range.
Damn, that's a decent size for a destination wedding.
I mean, if you think about it, like her stepkids alone were 4 people, and then most of them brought their partners, and then there was they have like a group of cousins that they really like, and there's so like it didn't feel like a lot of people, but yeah, like for a destination wedding, that's like a pretty big number to like get everybody to-
I mean, I'm impressed because I'm like, I'm not sure I could like collect even 10 people to come travel to Mexico.
No,
So
I was like, I'd be lucky if I got my family to come to my destination wedding.
right, that's fucking awesome. That's great. That's just super. So it's
They've
nice.
also been for like they've also been together for 17 years. So it was not one of those things that, how like, some family members just like will opt out because they're like, oh, it's,
Sure.
they've only been together a few years, or, it's not going to be worth it to invest my money in a wedding, in like a marriage that maybe won't work. Like they've been together almost 2 decades. So it all, and engaged for like 4 years. Like it only made sense. Like everybody was like, of course, aside from literally that are afraid to fly, like everybody like, and she gave everybody enough time to save up for it, and like with the wedding everybody got a discount through like doing it, like booking it as a group.
Oh,
so
awesome.
It was like she made it as manageable for everybody as possible in a way where like they'd have enough time to take off time from work. She did it during a season where it's cheaper because the water has like bacteria and it's not really swimming season,
Right.
It's like hurricane season.
Right.
So she was really smart about booking it in a way that's like, I don't want my poorest friend to not be able to afford it, and I don't want, people to like not take it seriously because there's, because it's a shit show because we've only been together for 4 years. Like they spent a lot of time and thinking about like all these details, and so it made it really good for everybody. It was good. I've like never seen a wedding go off so smoothly before. I think like there was nothing wrong. Like nothing
That's so
happened.
awesome. It's been
There wasn't a flip up or like a trip or like there was nothing, like no moment where everybody was like, like nothing happened, and I was like, that's great. Like that's a sign of a really good group of people at your wedding when like there's no drama, there's no fights, there's no drunk fights, there's we had alcohol all, not just at the wedding but the whole week and the whole weekend, and everybody was like behaving. It was good. Everybody was like, everybody. I mean, also it was so hot out that like you would drink and sweat it out within like 2
yeah,
minutes,
I was gonna say, and that's a
We're all dancing, like completely just soaked, like everybody, and it was cool. I was like, this is actually amazing, but like nobody cares. Everybody's just like having a really good time. It was cute.
That's awesome. That's totally awesome. Yeah, I haven't been to, the last wedding I think I went to was my own. No, I mean, like, you do get to a certain age and you're either going to somebody's like second marriage wedding, which like I feel like people get invited to a lot of first weddings but don't get invited to a lot of second weddings. I don't know if that's in my head or whatever, but like, I feel like people have a hesitancy to go big, like they're exponential times around like when they get married. And I'm just at that age, like either people I know have already been married for like the length of time your sister has been with her man, like, or like they're divorced already and like just chilling, you know, like.
It's like, I'm a 40-year-old bride. I was like, girl, you should be so proud because this is your first marriage.
Yeah.
Like, and he's been your man for almost 20 years. Like, that is a huge accomplishment. Like, if y'all had gotten married 11 years ago or something, you wouldn't be together because it changes the dynamic. It's like, it's not necessarily like, and everybody's different. Everybody's timeline is different. But the fact that she was like, I'm a 40-year-old bride. I'm like, yeah. And it's your first go around, bitch. Yeah. Like, and your man was married before, but he's also 15 years older. So it's like, it's like, it makes sense for everybody involved and it's all good. Like, it was really cute.
Yeah. I mean, rushing to the altar doesn't, I've been advocating for this, like later in life, wait for these things for a long time. Cause I think like, you know, you get settled into a different like time in your life where like, a different kind of partner may be like making more sense or whatever than like the previous decades of your life or whatever. You know, we're like evolve and change very much from like 18 to 40, you know, like it's quite a process.
Being the person in like your young 20s or your, you know, like I don't think that like age has a huge piece of the puzzle because if you're 35 getting married for the first time, and like you're going quickly, it's completely different than being 21 and marrying someone you've known for 2 months, right?
Totally.
You don't even know who you are, never mind know who they are.
Yeah.
So I think age dependent and also experience dependent. Like if you've had no girlfriends or no partners and then you're getting married within like a month of meeting somebody, I don't know, maybe that will work, right? Like my therapist the other day, she was like, you know, people have surprised the fuck out of me, so I stopped putting timelines on anything. And I'm like, yeah, that is true, but I think the certainty that you can say about the other side of it, which is that like the better you know yourself, the better you are at choosing. Like that's a thing we can say with
absolutely certainty. And I mean,
can you ask 20-something-year-old boyfriend when you're 20, you know, like sure, possibly. I'm not saying it's impossible, but like the stats of divorces are way higher when you get young, like married young, of course.
Yeah, and I just think like even if like divorce isn't in it, like, you know, you certainly see a lot of people that like have grown in relationships and may not have like had the relationship grow with them, you know. Like that certainly happens. But like
hey, snap, that's a good line.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know, I mean, part of me is just kind of like, you don't know yourself until you have like lived experiences, until you've kind of been through relationship cycles, you know. I mean, look, I'm willing to believe that like there are people in the world that have maybe worked on themselves so well as a single person for so many years that like they can get into a long and sustainable first relationship. Sure. You know, but like I've also seen people get into relationships later in life who haven't had relationships struggle with that because it's very different than being single, especially if you're cohabitating, you know. And these are all things you like figure out the tricks to. Like there's all sorts of things about cohabitation that I don't give a fuck about anymore. Like I couldn't possibly. Like the life gets so much more exponentially complicated and busy with every passing year, and your energy levels start going in the opposite direction with every passing year. So, you know, you find a balance in a relationship that is like, I'm with somebody that is low maintenance because that may be what the most important thing to me is right now in my life, you know? And I think that's my goal. Everybody else can goal make, but I think really just being with somebody like you have a good time with, and like, you know, it's getting caught up in all sorts of definitions these days feels really complicated, especially with all like the social trauma going on in the world. Everybody's like a little unsure of like their footing. So just, you know, just be with people, just be and try to find happy, you know? And I think that's like all we can do. Like, I'm excited. I'm starting therapy back up. And like, I think, and as you know, I went to therapy for many years. So I talk from like a very therapeutic like index most of the time, because I think that, I did a lot of good work, but it was also at a very different time in my life. So I find myself like very curious, like to come back after several years break and see like what is like kind of like my conversation with myself at like this age compared to like, a couple decades ago. I think
Sure.
it'll be a fascinating process. You know what I'm always worried about? Like, I always want to find these therapists that like understand like how plainly like I talk about like kind of queer radical sexuality and like ideas, and like it gets hard to have like a therapist that like can't interpret your point of view, I guess. I'm not saying it's any therapist's job to like agree with you, but you definitely need somebody that like can hold like a place that feels for you like very non-judgmental and very, open to whatever your experience is, without like having
Right.
to think about their experience in terms of your experience. And I do think, my first therapist was very, very good at that. So, and we were from very different backgrounds and very different sexualities, but like, she was such a like well-versed clinician in like therapy that like it always felt really good and I felt right. So, and I think that's kind of when you've had like a previous therapist for, and I'm talking almost a decade, it like you have this kind of thing that happens that I think is kind of like, well, nobody's going to live up to my first, in a weird transparency kind of way, right? Like, and I think that's fair, but I think like and I'm trying to be real with myself and say, hey, why haven't you? Why haven't, you're somebody who's always talking about how good it is for everybody else. Like, why haven't you like re-engaged with it in so long? And, we can excuse that away in a million different ways. It's hard. There's work. There's, only so much time, and sure. But I think right there is like part of my crux is like, I have such like an experience that is like, a good one, right? And it's not like a relationship. We didn't break up because we didn't like each other anymore. I relocated, right? So you have to like, kind of think about it as like, okay, it's you're very used to a kind of interaction. And I think that's the way with like friends and like anybody that we really get used to. And and it's also why I think making new friends when you're older can sometimes feel so complicated, because we may already at this point in our life have like one or two or several like friends that like we're really connected to, that have known us, that known us for a long time, that we feel comfortable being ourselves around. And so we have like a certain expectation. So when new people come along, it can be hard to have the patience for like that process of vulnerability and kind of like, do I like them? And also feeling like, do I have time to see if I like might like somebody again?
I think you just summed it up by basically saying like, if something is worth it, then the work doesn't matter,
Right.
whatever that.
Well said.
And like all good things have work that are required. You don't just get given stuff unless you are a part of like the 1%. But like that's, we have to work for the things that are the best things for us sometimes. And whether it's a new friendship or a therapist, it's like, yeah, it's sitting in some discomfort for a little bit, but that discomfort has a bigger payoff in the end, which is that you're establishing a new, relationship in your life, whether it's
Right.
therapy or friendship,
Totally.
whatever. And those are important. New relationships, breed new thoughts and keep you stagnant and stale, and it's good.
And I mean, they are like definitely exhilarating, and it's exciting to like, imagine, what's next, and I think I feel that same way with, I mean, you know me, I am very social. I will make friends easily, and because I'm like also a flirt in that social sense. Like, if you're paying attention to me, I'm paying attention to you. What's up? I realize that.
Well,
Yeah.
I made my therapist cry yesterday, so
Oh, okay.
there you go.
Wait, how did you make your therapist cry?
So she basically, so first of all, I will say this: my therapist will be at my wedding. Like that's my dream.
Nice.
I found a therapist that has a lot of similarities to like my life's trajectory. Like we have similar mom stuff, we have similar, whatever. So I didn't look for her based on that. I looked for her based on all of her qualifications and the things that, like, she's a sex therapist as well.
Oh, nice.
So obviously she already deals with sex workers. She's LGBTQ plus friendly, like all of those different things. So
Nice.
that's what drew me to her. And then, what kept me with her is the fact that, like, she's in my age range. She lives like somewhere in the vicinity of where I live. Like, she understands the city experience, if you will, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so her and I, like, sometimes we'll just sit there and laugh at, like, me talking shit, and she'll just be like, girl, and I'm like, girl, oh my God, bitch. Like, that's how I talk to my therapist. And
That's
yesterday,
awesome.
I gave her an update on some life stuff, and I don't really want to talk about it here, but
No, that's okay.
I gave her an update on some new little piece of information that goes along with just like my current year's trajectory, and it made her cry in happiness because she basically was like, she didn't like bawl, she got like teary. She was like, girl, oh my God, I'm not right now. And I was like, oh my God, really? She was like, yeah, because you fucking deserve this. You deserve that. She was just like, so like, girl, I'm so fucking happy for you. And she was like, this is what you need and deserve and all of it. And it was just really nice. It was really, really nice.
That's
and like,
really beautiful.
I'll just say that as like a way to, kind of aid you in the whole like process. It is a little, sometimes it stokes a little fear, a little anxiety because it's new and it's, like you said, like you have to get used to the person. They have to start to learn you. But that's the best part is like they get to figure you out and put all these little pieces together so that way when shit does hit the fan, they can process you properly and they can help you properly. I love that. Like when I go to her and I'm yelling, she's like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. I know how your brain works. I know like what kind of thing would work well for you or maybe wouldn't. So she'll do like an EDMR session with me if she wants to like lower my anxiety around a topic, or we'll do practice convos. Cause right now I'm working on being less of like a pushover doormat, like that's people pleasing. Like that's a huge thing I got from my childhood.
Right.
And so I have a hard time bringing up like tougher quote unquote topics that involve, me advocating for myself, for example.
Sure.
And so we'll do test runs of conversations, which really helps me because it's a way for me to get it out there into the ether, have it heard by somebody who can then give me some feedback and be like, you know what, based on what I know about this person that you've told me, maybe that wouldn't be the right thing to say, like little things like that. And so like, I find therapy can be very, very helpful for even just the simplest things that you're dealing with. Like, I think a lot of people think of therapy as like, you're going to be digging through your trauma and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do therapy twice a week. And sometimes I call her and I'm like, I have nothing to update you on, but guess what I did yesterday? And she's like, what? And I'm like, I did this and I told them no. And she stepped on my shoe and I told her clean it. And this is, like whatever. Yeah. And she's just like, fuck yeah, girl. And she just sits there and just cheers me on. So like for anybody listening, like a big thing about therapy I want everybody to understand is that you can use it however you want. They are there to be paid to help you. Mm-hmm. But if you show up to therapy one day, say through your insurance, you can't miss therapy or you need 24 hours cancellation. Say you're like, fuck, I really don't want to go, but I can't. It's too late to cancel. Fine. You show up and you just say, you know what? I'd kind of just like to sit in silence for 45 minutes. You can do that.
100%.
They are there to provide a space for you that feels safe. And whatever that safety looks like for you that day is whatever it looks like. They will do that for you. I have never encountered a mental health person that's like, no, I don't want to hold space for you. Like that's their job. Yeah. They could get fired for not. So if anybody's ever afraid of like, well, I don't want to talk every week, that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that you'll think you have nothing to talk about. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, but this thing happened yesterday. And I realized that I really need to work on my, interactions with blah blah blah, or like my quick to assume, or whatever. You don't think about it when you're heading into therapy, but then all of a sudden it's like a floodgate, and you just start talking, and you're like, oh,
and
this is great.
And I will always say this, what I do know and what I've always like told people is like, you have to give like the experience like a chance. Like if you meet somebody and you don't like their personality, 100% don't if you feel judged or you're just something isn't clicking, like why force yourself into it, but I will say this, like, yeah, it is always an awkward start, but there to facilitate the journey. So what I think we're saying these things because we do have like a little bit of experience of good like therapeutic counseling situations, and like it's things to look out for that you should feel like a therapist that is like telling you like, hey, if you can't think about what you want to talk about right now, let's just kind of sit here, and as things come up and pop up for you in your mind or whatever, or don't, like, let's talk about them. And when you have like a kind of invitation without pressure, yeah, you will eventually have something to talk about. It's really, and I think like what you were saying earlier, you learn a lot about like how to communicate yourself in therapy. And I think that is an incredibly extraordinary tool for all aspects of like our lives, like from family to professionally to like relationships. It helps you like articulate yourself and learn really good ways, like to like be able to tell somebody something without putting them on the defense, like that's a hard skill, like learning the idea of using I statements and saying I'm feeling this way, not you're making me feel this way. So it's kind of like it helps like the communication process, because if you're saying I'm feeling this way from what I'm hearing, and whatever it is, it's different, and like you might get more of a like willing to play ball with that, a person with, I'm sorry, that's not my intention, and I think like that's an important way to start conversations, especially about feelings in relationships. I see it in like workplaces all the time. It's like what I'm hearing is everybody is frustrated. What I'm hearing is nobody knows what the next step is. And that's frustrating. We definitely don't like that, and that happens in every kind of relationship where communication is required. So I think you should go in with whatever expectation. Obviously, if you're a go-getter, have some goals, but like, maybe give yourself a chance to build out some of those goals with your counselor as well, because then you can kind of like, hey, take a trained professional's opinion on like kind of where the best place is to start, And I think, if you're feeling all those things and you're feeling listened to and heard, and you're like feeling like you're giving practical things and tools to put in your like arsenal, like emotional and otherwise, then like it's a good match. And I have to say, I love, as your friend, I've like certainly like loved hearing like, definitely greater bouts of positivity from you. Like, it's always a radical thing to me, and I think because like I am surrounded by people in therapy right now on one level, or not surrounded, but you know what I mean? People that are close to me are in therapy, that it's, it's an infectious experience, because you see the change in them, and you see like the positive notes of like how that experience is like helping them feel better in like the everyday.
Right.
Asserting their emotions over some of these things is no matter how they assert it, is gonna like probably going to be made to feel like the bad guy, and like it is important, and that's why all the therapy, you're not ever a bad person for saying where your boundary line is. And I think that is something, right, the most important thing from therapy, like especially it helps with family. Like once you start practicing it, it's infectious, and I think that is tough. We really, we've talked about this kind of stuff in terms of like consent before, but that's all boundaries is like you like showing where the consent line like ends. This is where this stops. So don't ask for consent, don't talk about it, don't do it. Period. That's my boundary, whatever it is. So I think that is tough. It's definitely tough with your with family and like we've said, legacy friends. Like they don't necessarily understand what's happening for you, and like you don't have to explain that to them. You certainly can if you want to be like a vulnerable person and whatever. But like, people change.
I'm just like, my therapist told me to stop being such a pushover. And it's true. I mean, honestly, like, that's where it all comes from, is like my therapist is suggesting that I don't do certain things, or that so I have no problem scapegoating my therapist. And that's a valid thing too. Like if you feel awkward 100%. Being like, I need to assert myself, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, your therapist told you to.
No, totally. Like, I mean, like, I think that is a great, like, actually icebreaker for some of those conversations too. Like, hey, you know, I've been in therapy, or maybe you don't know, like, I've been in therapy and I'm trying to work on stuff to like, up my quality of life. Yeah, I usually keep it like really hang loose. Like, that's my goal in therapy is like, to improve happiness, right? Like whatever that, main thing is in your head, then that's what you're doing. So I think that is a very powerful way to talk to people. I mean, obviously we still live in a world that people feel many different ways about that process still, unfortunately. And there's a lot of cultural different feelings about that process, and I get it. But still saying and talking, it is a great experience. It's one to explore, and no, not everybody's going to understand where you're at, but you can tell them, and if they don't understand, that's not your fucking problem. Okay. It's just like we say with so many things. It's not my problem to help you understand why you're homophobic or why you're racist or why you're stupid. Like,
not my business, and it's a problem. Exactly.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm glad we're having this conversation. It feels like really good for like the times, I've just said yesterday in a meeting with like one of my advisors for school, like, I'm still waiting when we're going to have the discussion about the collective global trauma of COVID. Somebody, anywhere, hello? We have the data that shows what that trauma looks like financially, physically, health, mentally, addiction-wise. On so many levels, we have that data. But there's no conversation happening about it. And I know it's a big task to kind of try to heal the world with the idea of, like, let's talk about something that was very frightening in our modern times to people and was very confusing and then became very politicized and scary. So, I think it's good to stop and pause and have some reflective moments, and like, yeah, it's a stressful time. So take care of yourself.
Get fucking therapy.
Amen.
It's funny, I was at the wedding, a couple, I'm not going to say who, but the man and woman of a couple came up to me at different times and expressed upset about their partner.
Oh, really?
And
partner trash.
And they've been married for 20 years or something. Uh-huh. And I suggested to one couples counseling, and then to the other, when they came to me and were like, I don't know what to do, I was like, would you be up for couples counseling? And they were like, well, I would do whatever she wants. And then I told her, and then she was able to talk to him about it, and now they're in couples counseling. So
Oh, hell yeah. Score. Ding, ding,
I
ding.
am all about spreading that fucking healed era shit to everybody. It's never too late to go to therapy. You're not too old. You don't have to dig up things you don't want to talk about. I think it's good for you to talk about all the things that make you, but at the same time, do whatever you want in therapy. Like,
Yeah.
again, it's not laying on a chair and being like, so doc, my mom didn't give me the piece of cheese I asked for when I was 4. It's like,
No.
yeah, you can go
No.
there, but you don't have to,
Yeah, you don't. It's the whole point, and like we've said this before, is the general idea of having time scheduled for yourself, of which the whole point of the time is for you on whatever capacity, is healthy, is therapeutic. I mean, people get massages. You know what I'm saying? It's a similar principle. You take an hour to read or write, or all of these things is about taking time for yourself, to have conversations with yourself, to relax with yourself, because we don't have a focus. There's nothing in society that tells us that that's important. You hear like the work-life balance. I mean, that's a fucking tagline at this point. Like, it's not real. And if you actually try to practice work-life balance in most of these corporations and companies, you won't have a job for very long. So,
Exactly.
don't bullshit
They're like
us.
work-life balance. They're like,
Right.
put in a PTO request.
Right.
Fuck off.
Or call the EAP or whatever, employee assistance program at your company if you're struggling with stress. And I'm not saying that people on the other end of these like lines and like services aren't wonderful. They are in many cases. I've done the smoke quit lines before, and it certainly worked. And like I've had wonderful success with certain assistance things in my life. But, we're not encouraged to take that time and focus on ourselves. And I think it's super, super important right now that like, you take the time to comfort yourself at the very least, and whatever that looks like, healthily. Mind you. Escapism is a whole nother conversation. but one that I don't necessarily not advocate for a little bit, but within reason, so.
Amen to that.
Amen. Well, what a lovely audience. We got to do this shit live, like, at some point.
Yeah, we should.
Like, it would be I think it would be kind of entertaining, let people kind of, or let us, actually, I love y'all, but it's more about let us groove off of, like, the idea of an audience and, like, some sort of, like, audience interaction. So, I mean, you're already wonderful at that. I see you at these shows. Like, you've got such great personality. So, I wonder how I will be.
I don't know anymore. It's been a while since I've had to put it on. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to me, girl. I'm glad you're home. I missed you.
Well, I missed you too. I'm glad I'm home. Yay-hoo.
Yay-hoo!
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to The Screw. We'll be back next week talking about kibbles and bits. Ow.
And
I just
bits
hit
and
myself.
bits.